Do you cover history of yoga as a part of your MS yoga curriculum? Is written by Bharat.
Yeah, so Bharat, is a very good question. We cover parts of it, but not in a formal way, not in the way that I just covered it. We are going to probably early next year offer a course on history, which could be taken as electives. Most likely, I'm going to offer one of those. But it's coming. We'll cover some of it in what you study.
Okay, the next question is, yoga is obviously helpful, but can one make career out of it? If yes, how would VaYU Master of Science help doing it?
Very good question. So the obvious career out of yoga is you can be a yoga teacher or a yoga therapist. We'll give you both those certifications as part of Master of Science. But we also teach you yoga research. We also teach you to combine yoga practice with yoga therapy. So you could start, if you want to be a nurse practitioner, you could incorporate yoga. If you wanted to be a massage therapist, you could incorporate yoga. You could, if you wanted to be a chiropractor, you could incorporate yoga into it. You could, one of the big markets out there is corporate wellness. That, you know, in my previous life, I used to work for Microsoft, and Microsoft gives anybody that has a specific set of symptoms over $5,000 in order to get well. And yoga will make its entrance into that. So corporate wellness is a very big opportunity that you can use yoga with. Yoga scientist, yoga researcher. So they're, think about it as physical therapy in the 80s in the US. It wasn't very popular, but suddenly it exploded. That's where you are with yoga right now. So MS Yoga is probably one of the most pioneering courses you can take for these new types of careers.
Okay, then now I invite the participant to ask questions. Those who have questions, please raise your hand to enable your audio and video. You may introduce yourself and ask the questions. Saurabh Srivastav, please go ahead and ask the question. Please unmute yourselves. Please unmute.
Okay.
Please unmute.
Saurabh is saying he doesn't have a question.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I do have a question. I was not able to unmute myself. Two questions, Murali, very, very quickly. One is that I've heard from some people that you have not done Shirshasana before the age of 25 years. You shouldn't try to get into it later in your life. Do you subscribe to that view?
Yeah, for those of you that don't know what Shirshasana is, Saurabh is asking about headstand. So if I may paraphrase his question, he's saying if you've not stood on your head before 25 years of age, don't stand on your head after 25 years of age. Absolutely not true.
Okay.
I routinely teach people to do headstand well into their 50s and 60s.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay,
there are contraindications. You have to be careful as we age. We
Yes.
pick up contraindications, but nothing inherent. That's like saying don't run a marathon unless you ran a marathon before 25.
Got it. Thank you. And I'll just very quickly ask my second question. I've heard the Sadhguru of Isha Foundation talk about some 84 primary asanas. And he says that if you master just one of those completely, you can get, mukti. Do you subscribe to that 84 number? And if you do, how do we get the list of those 84?
Well, that's a very big question. You of course, quickly asked a question. It's not possible to answer it quickly. So let me make a few general points. Yoga is, in the end, yoga asana is a physical practice, and it's self-revealing. The more you practice, the more intuition you get and the better you can practice it. And it's been my own experience that if you learn to practice one pose deeper, you will get help in practicing all other poses deeply because there is a certain overall pattern and intelligence to it. Now, 84 comes from one of the ancient yoga texts that I just mentioned. And yes, there are books that document 84. If you send me an email, I'll tell you at least one such book that can be found. But I have personally not found evidence of 84 being a number which is somehow more preferable than say 39 or 27. So that's my short answer. Okay, there is much more to this.
Okay, next question is by Chitra Dalal. Please unmute yourself and ask the question. Please unmute yourself.
Yeah, I couldn't unmute myself. Yeah, namaste. So as you said that we lost the spiritual purpose nowadays. So how to bring in today's time?
Well, it's my comment was not so much about humanity losing the spiritual purpose. I'm not a moral teacher or anything. Just documenting history. More people practice yoga today for a physical purpose than for a spiritual purpose, and they are welcome to, because yoga it's not that you're somehow doing something wrong if you don't practice yoga for a spiritual purpose. So I just want to make sure and clarify that. Now, how do you practice yoga for a spiritual purpose? Let me just answer that as a question that's individual to you. There is meditation is probably the single biggest thing that one can do. One can do pranayama meditation. There are any number of initiations, meaning dikshas, that you can take within the yogic tradition that will help you get on a path of meditation. And I'm a long-term meditator myself, meditated for decades. And I found that over the years, meditation brings its spirituality into it automatically. So my simply, given this large, diverse audience and the fact that I have only 30 seconds, I can say that focus on dhyana, meditation a little bit more. And that's going to take you, but also things like mantra, japa, they all add the spiritual dimension.
Yeah. The next question is by Farana. Yeah, thank you, Chitraji. Next question by Farana. Please unmute yourself and ask the question, please.
Hello, Dr. Murali. Thank you very much for the history. I really appreciate it. One of the questions I have, and I often wonder, is the way the West is kind of treating this. Now there is corporate yoga. There is, they call yoga lattes. They mix the Pilates and yoga. And, I honestly, I got my 200-hour teacher training from Iyengar Yoga Institute, and I really appreciate that. I'm, that's just like the best thing I've ever done for myself. But I honestly believe that the true essence of yoga, there has to be some kind of a respect for that, and that kind of almost gets lost in the West. I mean, it's a comment, but I mean, I like to know what you think about it. And another, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, let me answer that. I take a slightly different viewpoint of it. Would you tell us how to pronounce your name? I don't want to pronounce it wrongly.
My first name is Faranak.
Faranak. So Faranak, there is nothing unique about the West doing yoga in a bad way. I know as many committed yogis in America as I know in India, and some of them are truly committed. I'm awed by their level of commitment. So I don't wish to make that symptomatic of a certain region of the world. It is just that with any practice, you can take its lower expression, or you can take its higher expression. And part of the human condition is different people take different aspects of the practice. So I personally wouldn't characterize it as an East versus West thing. I characterize it as a human thing. Yoga is capable of working at multiple levels. And if you take yoga as is it possible to do yoga to get over a hangover after you have drunk yourself into a stupor? the previous night. Of course, it's possible to use, because it does move your energy, and then it does help you get rid of a hangover fast. Is that good or bad? From an academic perspective, it just is.
Yes.
But not to be too wishy-washy on that. I personally think, and I don't even want to say that, I say that I personally practice yoga for a slightly higher purpose. And it's when something becomes very popular, people will explore all aspects of it. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, as long as there are people that explore the good aspects of it. And we should be loyal to how we feel about yoga and not hesitate to express it. And if
Yes.
somebody else wants to practice it their way, that is yogic too. Let them
Gotcha.
explore their consciousness. So that's much of this, I must say, is my opinion for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm also expressing my opinion, but just one last question. Yoga therapy by itself is a relatively new term, and now it gets used in the hospitals and for treatment of chronic or even major problems. If I go to the VaYU University, how long would it take for me to get a yoga therapy certification?
Yeah.
I want just get it like a 300 hour, so I can get a 500 hour altogether.
Well, you'll actually you won't get a 500 hour, but you will get a yoga therapist certification, which is 800 hours over your 200 hour teacher training. They are two separate trainings. If you did Master of Science in VaYU, then the current plan is to add on an additional 100 hours, but we are still trying to work through the details. It will be somewhere between 100 to 150 hours of clinical training, which will make you eligible to get a yoga therapist certificate from IAYT. And yeah.
So you're saying altogether 800 hours?
The IAYT's yoga therapy certification is 800 hours.
And that doesn't include the 200 hours I have?
They are two different organizations. One is Yoga Alliance, the other is IAYT.
Right.
So depending on what 200 hours you took, what school is, think of it as doing bachelor's in one school, master's in another school. Will they import the credits? Who knows? It's up to the school and the discipline that you did it in.
And this is a 2-year, 4-year term?
Master of Science in Yoga is 4 semesters.
4 semesters.
And you will add on an additional somewhere between 100 to 180 hours clinical training on top of it.
Wow. How can I get started? Or when can I get started?
Well, our next induction is August. Somewhere around August 17th is when the next semester starts. Talk to Kusumaji right after, and she'll set you up with all the information you need.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Murali. Thank you very
Send
much.
to Kusuma your contact information so we can get in touch with you.
Yeah, I'll put my.
Oh no,
email
we
ID
actually
in
have
chat.
it already.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Murali. It's challenging to cover such a wide topic in a short span of time.